The following video contains spoilers from Breaking Bad and Backdoor Babe 7. This time it's personal. Hey, welcome back to Shit That Doesn't Matter. Today we're talking about the failed Kickstarter for the unofficial, unauthorized, and uncut Breaking Bad sequel, Anastasia. Do you remember the cultural phenomenon that was Breaking Bad? A absolutely phenomenal TV show. Shooting from the hip, Breaking Bad, probably the best show to come out in the last 15 years. I remember me and my friend Ryan, who I flattered with at the time, running home from university to watch that final episode. We couldn't be bothered like setting it up on the TV. We just huddled around his office computer because we were just so desperate to watch. And it was a great ending, in my opinion. Very conclusive. Personally, I thought that was a great place to leave Breaking Bad, but not everyone seems to agree. It just seems like nobody's willing to let a good story just be a good story with a conclusive ending. On top of that, studios are obviously just terrified of new IPs. These big studios aren't going to splash out tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on a project they can't at least guarantee some kind of return on. Now, that's all well and good when a studio does it. Sometimes the fans themselves are to blame, such as the star of today's show, Lawrence Shepard. This project is 10 years old, but it might still sound familiar to you. I wanted to make this video because none of the people who have covered this have really quite delved into just how insane this whole story gets. From him spending $4,000 to create possibly the worst pilot I've ever seen, to picking a fight with Val Kilmer, the actor that he had penned for the leading role, and just a whole bunch of other weird, hilarious, creepy things that this guy has done. So we're going to look into that today and laugh at the hubris of a man who thought he could hold a candle to one of the best TV shows ever written. Anastasia, a sequel to Breaking Bad with Val Kilmer and Slash. Yes, that's Slash from Guns and or Roses. Val Kilmer and Slash are US Marshals. An ensemble cast will round out with the beautiful Jana Michonne. I suppose he felt that Jana Michonne's nose, lips, and shoulder would be enough to get you to fork over the big bucks. Quite an optimistic goal as well. 750,000 Australian dollars. I believe it's about 500,000 US. As much as it is still not enough to pay for any of this, especially when you're trying to sign on A-list stars like Val Kilmer and Slash. But let's watch this video here and let him sell you on it.
Anastasia is a show that was created by me about 2 U.S. Marshals. They're an elite fugitive team that go out and catch the bad guys. Hopefully starring Val Kilmer, Slash from Guns N' Roses, Laura San Giacomo, and Jana Michonne.
Kind of bold to put Val Kilmer and Slash in the title, implying they've already signed on or in some way accepted a role in this. Spoiler alert, they have not.
Anastasia picks up where Breaking Bad left off. You remember, Walter White's laying right there on the floor.
Damn, pretty much just fucking hitting you with the biggest spoiler in the whole series. Just out of nowhere, just firing from the hip.
And when the other officers get back into the area and they see what a horrendous situation what has happened, they're going to call for that other officer and he's going to walk out because he thinks Walter White's dead. Everybody does. 4 seconds later, here comes this figure coming in. We don't know the gender. We don't know who it is. We just see them bend down and grab Walter White by the ankles and drag him out. There's going to be a little blood smear left. And that's where we're going to start.
You know when you're watching a TV show or a movie with your friends and you're like, oh, it'd be cool if this would happen. Or, oh, man, can you imagine if this would happen? I feel like this guy had that feeling and was just like, I'm just going to make that into a whole TV series. Now, you're probably asking yourself, how does this work legally? But don't worry, he's got a plan.
Now, our show is going to be standalone as well. God forbid Sony and Vince Gilligan says no. We're not going to sit in the corner and suck our own thumbs.
I think he's trying to say it's just going to be another show unrelated to Breaking Bad or the Breaking Bad universe so that it's legally distinct, which, like, I guess makes sense. That is how you would get around the copyright stuff. But he continually references all of the characters from Breaking Bad. The whole premise is pretty much, what if Walter White might still be alive? That's the big question hanging over this whole thing. He wants to lean on, like, all of the amazing, like, story beats and like, character arcs and everything that these characters have had throughout the entirety of Breaking Bad, but also be completely independent and stand alone from all of that. It's really not thought out at all. It just feels like a very entitled boomer thing to do. Like, what do you mean I can't just make my own movie based on a critically acclaimed TV series that I've had no involvement with?
The 2 arcs are, is Walter White alive? Where is he? 3, actually. and who drug him out.
People like this can't handle the fact that a good story came to a close, and so instead he has to contrive some reason that Walter White survives and continues to do, I don't even know, drug stuff. Did we watch the same show? Like, what does Walter White have to live for at the end of Breaking Bad? Like, his family hates him, money doesn't mean anything to him anymore, like his legacy is ruined, he's, you know, an international criminal. He doesn't want to go on. I don't see a world in which, like, he's got the drive to keep doing all the awful shit he was doing.
Look at Breaking Bad, Jesse calling people bitch. Nobody had any idea that was going to get as huge as it was. I saw an interview the other day. He was on the streets in Europe, and this old lady came up to him and says, call me a bitch. Please, call me a bitch.
I don't really get what he's trying to say there. Like, no one expected Breaking Bad to be popular, so maybe mine will be popular too, of the same degree. Forgetting that, like, Vince Gilligan has been working in television for fucking decades, has immense amount of contacts in the industry, and, like, world-class writers and cinematographers and actors, and just kind of everything that this project does not.
The last 6 years or so, I've gotten kind of critical. I haven't liked the writing in a lot of my favorite shows and movies.
Absolutely, man. I agree 100%. Writing standards have been getting sloppy lately. Just out of curiosity, what kind of highbrow, well-written programming do you enjoy?
Big Bang Theory. I'm a huge fan of Big Bang Theory. I think the writers died in December 2012. I mean, Raj, he comes out of his inability to talk to women because he's sad. Did you stay awake late nights trying to come up with that one?
This whole project is just you wanting to see pretty much like an AI-generated movie or TV show. It's like, yeah, give me Breaking Bad. Can we also have Slash, Aerosmith?
There's some A-list stars that we're trying to get on the show. And let's face it, if you don't have the money, you've got nothing. So if we got the money and we're there, that's when they're going to be approached and said, here it is. We'd like you to do it.
Nowhere does he explain why he specifically needs A-list celebrities. We all know it's, again, because he wants to hang out with them. Then he also says, like, 2 minutes ago that this is his first time working in the industry. He immediately wants to be working with anyone he wants who can just click his fingers and get them to show up. And it's very much a child's view of the world, but he pretty much just says Slash would be cool with a gun acting as a marshal.
My next door neighbor is Duff's guitar tech. He's been with Slash or Guns N' Roses and Slash and Duff since they were almost a garage band. And a lot of people don't understand about Slash. He's an extremely intelligent individual, and he's very glib and he's very articulate.
A lot of people think of Slash as a drooling dipshit who was invited to Guns N' Roses as a joke. But would you be surprised that he's actually very intellectual, very glib, which clearly makes him the perfect choice for the role of lead actor. Not only is he the lead actor, though, he's also going to be the head composer for this whole operation.
Laura San Giacomo, that woman has an amazing talent. Jana Mashoni was a real find. The woman speaks so many different languages in American Indian.
So he lists off the actors that he's obviously not going to get, like Val Kilmer and Slash, but he did manage to nab one actress, Jana Michonne, the woman from the thumbnail, and I don't want to throw out baseless accusations here, but I get the feeling her involvement may be vaginally related. There may be a slight vaginal component to her casting in this role. Not saying this guy is trying to creep on her 100%, but just the way he describes her is just a little bit, I don't know.
She's incredibly beautiful. She's an amazing singer. I would love to see her and Slash and Miles Kennedy get together and do some things together for Anastasia.
Now, as you know, Breaking Bad was a huge flop. Viewership was down across the board. Everyone hated it. So to drum up viewership, Lawrence has decided to incorporate some fun gags, some gimmicks, which will no doubt spice up the Breaking Bad viewing experience. Sorry, Anastasia, a sequel to Breaking Bad.
We'll have very famous actors, and won't be A-listers, but everybody's going to know who they are, and they'll be invited on the show to be a fugitive. They're going to be in full prosthetic makeup. The List of Adrian Messenger, it's an old movie, but it was a really fantastic movie where all these big stars were in the movie, and you had no idea who they were up until the very end when they pulled off all their makeup. These are fugitives that have been on the run, and they went and had plastic surgery. And at the end of the show, we'll find some very creative ways to strip off the makeup, and they start talking in their own voice.
So, like, is there like a Batman villain gang where their whole thing is doing crimes and then getting plastic surgery? Or, like, how are you going to explain that every single episode? When did Breaking Bad become a monster of the week? Breaking Bad is like, it's a series. It's a start to finish series.
One of the other things is the main character is going to be a recovering alcoholic, and we're going to have 12-step meetings in the show, and it's going to be a blank canvas or a format, a stage for actors and people in the entertainment industry, musicians, singers and songwriters that are in recovery themselves, and it's not going to be scripted.
He's just going to invite real famous people on who are going through this very, like, difficult private matter of substance abuse, and now you want them to come onto your show show, which is meant to be a sequel to Breaking Bad, and just like spit a freestyle cipher on how difficult it is to recover from drugs and alcohol. And in case you're wondering who he's inviting along, Russell Brand, Jamie Lee Curtis, Steven Tyler, Dick Van Dyke, Drew Barrymore, Robert Downey Jr., Robin Williams, Neil Young, Eminem, and so on.
Steven Tyler is going to be our first person we're going to invite. And if he wants to show up in overalls and a wife beater t-shirt and call himself Bubba, that's fine.
First of all, that's not how acting works. I don't think the actors usually show up in their own costumes and fully improvise all their own lines. What happens when Steven Tyler shows up in blackface? Lawrence. It just screams like, I have no real clear direction for this, and I will bend over backwards to get any of these people to be around me for at least a half day of filming.
People are going to watch for a lot of different reasons. There's going to be for the thinking person. There's going to be for the rock and roller types. People that love Native American spirituality are going to love the show. The
3 iconic reasons everyone loved Breaking Bad was for the thinky, for rock and roll, and Native American spirituality. The 3 pillars that all Breaking Bad episodes adhered to.
To me, it's about the viewers.
Nope.
It's not what I want. It's not what the...
Nope. No, it's exactly what you want, man. I'm sorry. This is your weird boomer power fantasy where you get to hang out with a bunch of rock stars and women who are forced to be around you contractually. He starts to break down the rewards here. So let's look at those. First of all, an obscene amount of rewards. Little to no thought has gone into the actual logistics. For example, the $1 one and the $10 one, both reasonable. You get updates, although you get updates you can just look at the updates publicly, so you don't need to donate for that, but whatever. An email containing the scripted PDF format on the day of the parts release. Well, you go down here to the $20 one, you receive both of those, as well as a t-shirt. You will lose a whole lot of money on that. I should know. I've been doing merch lately. FantasyDivision.com. Buy 6 shirts, but nowhere does it mention that you have to pay your own shipping. I feel like this implies for $20, you will receive a shirt. And so he's going to lose money on that. For $35, you get all of that, so you're getting the t-shirt, the script, but you also get a coffee mug for $35. This is the shirt. That's the best picture we have of it. It's a picture of the Vitruvian Man with Anastasia, and this could be our last goodbye. I don't know what relevance that has to Breaking Bad or really anything, but that's the t-shirt you could get. Again, if you want better t-shirts, why not head over to FantasyDivision.com. Now here's where things start getting interesting. For $200, you can be on set while it's being filmed. For $250, you can visit the set and have lunch with them, but probably by yourself, sitting on a table for nerds, because for $350, have lunch on the set, plus have David, a head chef at Gala Catering, sit at your table. David has worked for many years in the industry, working movies like 50 First Dates, The Fast and the Furious, and TV shows like Boss and Dallas. His insights into what goes on behind the scenes are very helpful for those aspiring to be in the business, and they are very entertaining. Something funny about saying you've worked on movies like 50 First Dates and Fast and the Furious when you're the caterer. I don't know what you do if you bought the $200 package. I guess you're not allowed to have lunch with them. They kick you out. For like $1,000, you could pick what song Val Kilmer's used, but it has to be evaluated for effectiveness by Slash because he's the music director or some shit. You imagine like you've been hired to work on a movie. First of all, you're Slash because some dipshit paid $1,000. You have to you have to adhere to their song choice. And then around the $5,000 mark, you get the privilege of being an extra. Wow. What a great reward. I love paying $5,000 to be an extra. So Lawrence put out this Kickstarter, and I think a number of articles were written about the project. They don't really outwardly say anything like negative or meme, but it's all very sarcastic. Some genius is kickstarting a Breaking Bad sequel starring Val Kilmer and Slash, which to a normal person like you or me is obviously taking the piss. I have the feeling he genuinely thought that they were calling him a genius. Lawrence says, there was a sequence when Jesse looks down the hallway and the 2 doors were closed. I thought... Junior's in there. Junior's in there with the baby. He's going to come out, wrestle with Jesse, and something's going to happen. Junior's the only one who hasn't broke bad in the whole show. It didn't happen, and I was a little disappointed. Why is Walt Jr. just hanging out with the baby by himself? He's weirdly obsessed with this idea of having Walt Jr. turn evil. Not sure why this guy's so intent on like corrupting one of the few like morally good characters in the show. Seems like you'd have to worry about copyright issues, to which he says, of course, you have to watch the uniqueness. Remember the last episode, the machine gun rotating back and forth in the Cadillac? Very unique. I can't use it. The dead guy in the recliner chair going up and down? Very unique. Couldn't use it. I think you actually can use that. I don't think AMC or Breaking Bad or anyone has copyright over the idea of a machine gun in a car. They do own the title Breaking Bad as well as the logo and theme song, which he's used multiple times throughout the project. He thinks as long as you like rename it, but otherwise just copy it like beat for beat, you're all good. You're allowed to use the same imagery. So once again, we're confronted with his bizarre plan to film this as a standalone show, independent of Breaking Bad. It's going to be standalone. If they say yes, the first season is going to be very Breaking Bad dependent. But the second season and forward, I'm trying to go 12 seasons and break Frasier's record. If we have to do it independent from Breaking Bad, then instead of dragging out their Walter White, we'll drag out our Walter White. Still calling him Walter White though. I don't know. I think that might be that's probably pushing up against copyright more than the car and the guy in the recliner would. They ask him, how realistic is it that you're going to get Val Kilmer? And he says, from what people tell me about Val Kilmer, you don't have to pay him $1 million. If there's some money there, he'll typically do it. So pretty much calling him poor and desperate, which is definitely how you win over your prospective leads. Slash is who I'm more worried about. I really think you should be worried about both of them. But he plays guitar. That's his love. And he makes a good living off of it. And I've heard from a few people he's busy with his new album release. So Slash probably won't be in every episode, but we could do it either way. So imagine being like, yeah, Bryan Cranston, he's really busy. Walter White's not going to be in every episode. We'll sub him out. Slash is going to be undercover. That's why he dresses the way he does and his hair is the way it is, right? He's the undercover part of the cop partnership. So I believe what he's implying here is that Slash is just going to be dressed as Slash from Gun N' Roses. I guess to explain why they don't have to like cut his hair or do makeup or make him take his glasses off or anything. He really just wants Slash to be Slash. He just wants to hang out with Slash, have Slash on screen and be like, man, how cool is Slash? I'm hearing he will definitely be in the pilot. I don't have a letter of intent yet, and we have to work around his tour. He tours a lot. Thankfully, the Vice interviewer here pushed back and said, when you say you hear from Slash, does that mean you've talked to Slash? And he says, not hearing from Slash, no. Going back to the AA meeting gimmick, here's his genius plan. I went down to Big Lots and bought about 20 red and white checkered tablecloths that we're going to use for the meetings. Therefore, let's say it's Robert Downey Jr.'s turn for a 12-step meeting scene, but he's in Brazil filming some Iron Man thing. No problem. I can put the tablecloth in an envelope, mail it down to him, and he can film it right there. I think that's going to work really well. So now you're asking Robert Downey Jr. to do work, setting up camera, audio, set design, so that he can be in the unofficial sequel to Breaking Bad. All right, let's take a look at this description. Kilmer's incredible talents and personality will make this a mega hit. Columbo and Monk had an intriguing theme, wherein they both had a unique comedy quirk to their personality. That personality was coupled to a genius detective ability that kept the viewers coming back. Anastasia will carry that successful tradition on. So Breaking Bad is now becoming a detective mystery. Who doesn't want to see Slash with a Glock sticking out from under that jacket? Is that a Glock sticking out from under that jacket, Slash? Once again, can't help but bring up Jana Michonne's the fact that she's very beautiful. Slash will be the music director creative for the show. I appreciate this guy just willing impossible feats into existence. This guy's going to direct it, whatever. Right after the pilot, there's going to be a public service announcement, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, Anastasia is proud and honored to have this nation's veterans acting on our show. All of the police officers you just saw are combat veterans from the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. I wouldn't say Breaking Bad ever kind of gave me that sort of hyper-patriotic vibe that this guy's trying to push here. He also wants the pilot to air the Monday before Halloween. No reason why. All 10 of the first season scripts are finished. God, I wish I could read them. I have looked. I cannot find them. All right, here's page 1 and 2 of the script. All right, we're going to animate this to visualize what this might look like. Interior, meth lab, night. We see what appears to be Walter White, WW, lying on the lab floor. Walter White's face is visible. Police officer Barnes, 20 to 30s, is standing at his feet. Shouts are heard from outside the meth lab from the other police officers. Holy crap, Jesus! I need a perimeter set up here ASAP. Move out, Barnes! Officer Barnes runs towards the other officers who are outside. 4 seconds elapse, and we see a person walk up to Walter White. We cannot determine gender or their identity. An unknown person reaches down and grabs Walter White's legs. That person then drags Walter White out, away from the direction the police officers have gone. Walter White's body leaves a small blood trail / smear. That's an important line for him. He's mentioned that twice now. That's the end of the teaser. Anastasia's intro plays, which based on what I've seen so far. It's probably just Breaking Bad's intro, so we'll play that here. Act 1, Scene A. From Black, exterior compound night. We see police officers moving towards the clubhouse from different angles, crouched, guns drawn. One officer is making combat signals to the other officers with his/her hands, directing them where to go and set up. Another officer is crouched up against the Cadillac. We see a slight flame coming from the trunk. Officer peers over trunk of the caddy and sees the M60 machine gun rotating by itself. Officer quickly crouches down, gives combat signals to the other officers. They in turn set up a fanning cover perimeter for two others to move towards the windows of the clubhouse. Those officers rise up and peer in the clubhouse windows with shoulder-aimed weapons drawn. But Barnes whispers, "Movement." One of the officers makes a cutting motion across his neck and points towards the Cadillac. We see inside the Cadillac's trunk, and an officer pulls the ground wire from the battery, stopping the machine gun's movement. She then flips up the receiver of the M60. Then the officer gives a thumbs up motion towards the others. That there should get your interest going. Why $500,000? Are you crazy, dude? We aim to make a pilot for $500,000 that looks every bit as good as one filmed for $2 million, and the team is in place to do it. The budget breaks down somewhere between $200 and $220,000 for production costs, and somewhere between $280 and $300,000 for actors' salaries. We're filming the pilot in Ventura County, right next door to LA, which is a touch different to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Let's look at some of these updates because these are very funny. Now, his first update says, "No, it's not a midlife crisis for me. I have no intentions of quitting my day job for Anastasia. Many times in the entertainment industry, you're living on the beach in Malibu one day and sleeping in a cardboard box under an overpass the next. So true. I don't need to be on set every day. The incredibly talented people we will have on Anastasia can take care of that just fine. You will be on set every day because this is your weird power fantasy where you get to like hang out with Slash and Steven Tyler and Eminem and like, I was going to say boss them around, but he's made it very abundantly clear that these people can just show up and do whatever the fuck they want." Now, to certain point, Larry's project managed to make its way to Val Kilmer, who I'll remind you is his pick for the lead actor. And Mr. Kilmer, unfortunately, didn't have anything nice to say about the project. "Did you see there's a goofball on Kickstarter wants to make a sequel to Breaking Bad starring me? Americans are never happy with a good thing." Larry replied saying, "Really? Bryan Cranston drops crazy Breaking Bad hint in CNN interview." So Larry links to this clip here.
I wasn't so sure that you died. I really wasn't. Your eyes were open and I thought, what if the police just take him into custody, he gets better, breaks out, and just goes nuts?
Hey, you never saw a bag zip up or anything,
None
or
of
anybody
that.
saying, you know.
No.
Apparently that was enough to justify Larry lashing out at Val Kilmer. He then ran to Kickstarter to kind of show how much he fucking owned that dipshit Val Kilmer. Being as upfront as I can be, Val Kilmer tweeted this. I tweeted back, "Really? Bryan Cranston drops crazy Breaking Bad hint. And also, your agent couldn't have emailed me back saying that you weren't interested. Instead, you call me a goofball. You didn't even know me." I'm getting a lot of questions about Val Kilmer's tweet, and simply put, him calling me a goofball is what it is. What really pisses me off is that he completely dissed Miss Jane Michonne. I think she's fine. I don't think she gives a fuck. She agreed to do the Anastasia pilot, and Val Kilmer wiped his ass with her decision by tweeting that. Finally, the last person he offended, Mr. Kilmer completely wiped his ass with the fact that Anastasia is hiring American combat veterans to play the 7 police officers in the pilot. He should have had the decency and respect for those veterans, many of whom have sacrificed everything by keeping his mouth shut rather than trivialize the project. Enough said. Now, just one day later, tragedy struck. Anastasia is cancelled. Good morning, contributors. I've been getting threats and seriously deranged emails ever since the Val Kilmer tweet. If it was just me, I wouldn't think twice about them, but more than one mentions my family. Some directly name his tweet. My business is all over the internet with all my contact information. What truly concerned me the most was when the emails stopped coming through Kickstarter and Google and started coming directly to my business email address. The tone and the volume of those is very scary. Also got very disconcerting when I disabled comments on the YouTube video earlier today and the wackos found other avenues to get their emails to me. I talked to my wife and the kids last night, and we are mostly concerned with the grandchildren. My stepdaughter is pregnant, and her family just doesn't need this in their life right now. They all posted the Anastasia news on their Facebook pages. We are not millionaires, and we can't afford gated houses with security. So I've made the decision to shut down Anastasia. Thank you so much for your interest and support for the Anastasia project. You're the best. God bless, and then he forgets to sign off. But thankfully, cooler heads prevailed, and 4 days later, Larry says, one of my tenants, so this guy is a landlord. It seems as though he owns at least 2 other properties. I'd like to point out in the previous article as well, he said, we are not millionaires and we can't afford gated houses with security, but he can afford at least 3 houses. One of my tenants is John Campanella, and yes, he's Roy Campanella's son. He talked to me at length about how this is the norm in the business and how to handle it. He even brought over a security contract to make me feel safer. Anastasia's director, Jonathan Salami. Come on, man. Your name is Jonathan Salami. Anastasia's director, Jonathan Salemi, came over last night as well, and he talked to me for hours. The end result is we are going forward with Anastasia. If you Google Val Keimer and Slash, you will see 24 pages of write-ups in 15 different languages. The overwhelming responses were incredibly positive. He's, of course, talking about all the news articles about him, which, again, I think we're all taking the piss, and he just didn't pick up on it. But he ultimately decided to re-release this Kickstarter. So a second Anastasia Breaking Bad sequel has hit Kickstarter. This one was not as successful. Unlike the first one, he has a pilot.
Turn it back on me and then I'm gone.
What's this guy wanted for?
He murdered his wife, molesting a young girl. He used to be a cop. 11 years.
Phenomenal rune tone. Great sound design here. Very bold choice to just use the onboard camera mic for everything and just get one of the guys to read, not both of them, one of them to redub his lines.
What are you doing here?
Presents, my friend, presents.
That was a crunchy slap. Can we get that one more time? It's like a bone breaking.
The bloody towels you found at the drug lab matches the guard office. Your mystery bleeder has some sort of cancer. I'm not an oncologist, and we didn't have enough blood sampling to do it properly, as I said, but I don't think it's lung cancer. I think it would be GPA.
GPA?
GPA is commonly misdiagnosed as lung cancer, but it's treatable if caught and diagnosed early enough.
What they're saying here as well is that the lung cancer that Walter has isn't actually lung cancer. It's some other shit called GPA, which if you catch it early on enough is easily treatable. He's obviously setting up to be like, oh, surprise, he doesn't actually have lung cancer. Now we can have 12 seasons of this guy floating around. And an update to this, he says, John did an amazing job considering my sound mixer never showed up. Lesson learned though, I will never shoot again without a mixer. And as some of you know, the person who is to play Jose's partner never showed either. But as always, something magical happened when John Campanella stood in instead. He's a security guard that Larry convinced to be in this as an actor. And you can kind of tell he's like not very comfortable, and fair enough. He doesn't want to be an actor. He's a security guard. Including everything, the shoot will wind up costing me $4,000 out of pocket. I felt that was necessary to put my money where my mouth is, and I have no regrets. That is so much money. I will invite different bands to perform and provide the soundtrack. So we're going to be having, just to give you an insight of the kind of soundtrack you can expect here. We've got a bit of a smorgasbord. Do you reckon he just went through like his likes on Spotify and was like, yeah, we could definitely get Lady Gaga. Yep. Katy Perry. Easy. He gives some snippets about what the characters are doing from Breaking Bad during his show, which is a standalone, but also isn't a standalone, I guess. Skylar isn't coping with the aftermath very well. Betsy Brandt's character, Marie, I'll put it this way, she stops wearing all those purple high-neck dresses. I don't know if she's a stripper now. I don't know what that means. There's this amazing haunting scene with Jesse Pinkman. The tale of Jesse Pinkman in the unavailable video. I've rewritten the last act of the pilot and invited the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club to appear in it. The Hells Angels have a very interesting place in boomer culture. It's a bikie gang. They do illegal shit. They sell drugs and fucking kill people. It's not a fun motorcycle club. I doubt they'll do it, but I want Anastasia to be of the highest quality throughout. I probably will have to settle for some actors with bogus patches on store-bought Harleys, but we'll make it work nonetheless. And then he plugs his Twitter, which has nothing really of note on it except for this one tweet where he replies to Hassan saying, "You are a major piece of shit asshole. Here's hoping someone takes you out, terrorist dunghole." So yeah, that's pretty much Anastasia. Nothing ever happened. His projects didn't get funded and everyone made fun of him. So all in all, kind of a bit of a rough way for Anastasia, the Breaking Bad sequel, to pan out. But good news for Larry. They did not only a Breaking Bad sequel, El Camino, they did a Breaking Bad prequel, Better Call Saul, which also kind of became a Breaking Bad sequel. I hope that satisfied his need for more in the Breaking Bad cinematic universe. Anyway, thank you very, very much for tuning in. The channel has been popping off lately, and it's been a shitload of fun making this, so yeah, get fucked.